Have you ever thought elephants were huge? Compared to Earth's past giants, they'd look like pets. Before humans, the planet crawled with nightmare-sized creatures. Some could swallow you whole, others towered like monsters. And the craziest part? Many weren't even dinosaurs. From car-long millipedes to bus-sized snakes, here are the 10 biggest animals that ever lived. 1. Arthropleura, the giant millipede. Picture walking into your garden, spotting a millipede, and realizing it's longer than your couch. That was Arthropleura, a prehistoric millipede that stretched up to 2.5 meters. It lived around 300 million years ago, during the Carboniferous period, when oxygen levels in the air were much higher than today. That extra oxygen allowed insects and arthropods to grow to unimaginable sizes. Despite its horrifying, armored appearance, Arthropleura wasn't a hunter. It was a plant-eating fortress, feeding on ferns, rotting wood, and decaying leaves. Imagine something that looked like a monster tank slowly crawling across the forest floor, and all it wanted was salad. But if you thought a giant millipede was unsettling, wait until you meet the snake that ruled the tropics. 2. Titanoboa, the monster snake. Snakes already send chills down most people's spines. Now, picture one that stretched over 13 meters long, weighing more than a ton. That was Titanoboa, the largest snake ever discovered. It appeared about 60 million years ago, right after the dinosaurs disappeared. The Earth was hot, humid, and swampy, the perfect environment for a cold-blooded reptile to grow unchecked. Unlike venomous snakes today, Titanoboa relied on pure brute strength. It could wrap around its prey and crush it with a force so extreme, it's been estimated at 400 kilograms per square centimeter. That's strong enough to snap bones like twigs. Crocodiles, giant turtles, and anything unfortunate enough to cross its path were all on the menu. Imagine a school bus-sized snake sliding silently through the water, ready to ambush. And just when you think things couldn't get worse, the oceans had an even bigger predator. 3. Megalodon, king of the oceans. Today's great white sharks are terrifying enough, right? Now multiply that by 3. That's Megalodon, a shark that could grow up to 18 meters long, longer than a city bus. Its teeth were the size of human hands, and with a bite force of 20 tons, it could crush bones with ease. For comparison, the great white shark today bites with just 1 ton of force. Megalodon ruled the oceans between 23 and 3 million years ago, snacking on whales, seals, and basically anything that could fit into its massive mouth. To give you an idea of scale, it could swallow a small car whole, driver included. But even this monster couldn't escape extinction. As the Earth cooled and whale populations dwindled, Megalodon's food supply ran out. And with that, the reign of the largest shark ever ended. Still, while Megalodon ruled the seas, the land had its own towering mammal. 4. Paraceratherium, the giant rhino. Forget elephants. The true heavyweight of the land was Paraceratherium, the largest land mammal to ever exist. This distant relative of modern rhinos stood taller than a giraffe and weighed more than 4 African elephants combined. It had a long neck that allowed it to reach the highest tree branches, almost like a hornless giraffe crossed with a rhino. Despite its monstrous size, Paraceratherium was a gentle herbivore, but its sheer size meant it had almost no natural predators. The only threat? Climate change. As forests disappeared and grasslands took over, its food sources dwindled, leading to its extinction. Yet not all prehistoric giants were so calm. Some were built for ambush. 5. Sarcosuchus, the supercroc. Modern crocodiles already look like survivors from another age. But compared to Sarcosuchus, they're nothing. This prehistoric beast stretched 12 meters long, weighing over 8 tons. Living about 110 million years ago, it was double the size of modern crocs and had over 100 massive teeth. Sarcosuchus lurked in rivers and lakes of what is now Africa, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Its favorite prey? Giant fish. But paleontologists believe it also ambushed young dinosaurs who came too close to the water's edge. Even scarier, Sarcosuchus had a unique swollen snout that may have amplified sounds or even improved its sense of smell, making it an even deadlier hunter. And if you thought giant crocodiles were bad, imagine a frog that could eat dinosaurs. 6. Beelzebufo, the devil frog. Nicknamed the devil frog, Beelzebufo lived in Madagascar around 80 million years ago. At 40 centimeters long, it looked like a living football with a mouth that could engulf almost anything smaller than it. Unlike modern frogs that mostly eat insects, Beelzebufo had jaws powerful enough to crush bones. It likely preyed on small dinosaurs, reptiles, and whatever else it could swallow. This wasn't your average hopping amphibian. It was basically the pit bull of the frog world. Using camouflage, it would hide in the undergrowth, then lunge with a lightning-fast snap. But giant frogs weren't the only oversized surprises in Earth's history. Some insects were just as terrifying. 7. Meganeura, the dragonfly from hell. Imagine walking through the forest and hearing what sounds like a helicopter approaching. That would have been Meganeura, a giant dragonfly with a wingspan of 70 centimeters. It lived 300 million years ago, when the air was rich with oxygen, allowing insects to grow enormous. Unlike today's dragonflies, which catch small bugs, Meganeura hunted larger prey, including other insects and even small amphibians. Seeing one swoop overhead would have been enough to make anyone run for cover. And yet, not every prehistoric giant was terrifying. Some were just massive, shaggy, and slow. 8. Megatherium, the giant sloth. When you hear the word sloth, you probably imagine a small, lazy animal. But millions of years ago, sloths were anything but small. Megatherium, the giant ground sloth, could grow over 6 meters long and weigh more than 4 tons. That's about the size of an elephant. It lived in South America between 2 million and 10,000 years ago. Unlike predators of its time, Megatherium was a peaceful herbivore, using its enormous claws to pull down tree branches or strip vegetation. But don't be fooled by its slow movements. Those claws were also powerful weapons, enough to scare off predators. Imagine a hairy tank slowly moving through the forest, unstoppable, even if it wasn't fast. And speaking of claws, the next creature had some of the deadliest pincers of all time. 9. Pulmonoscorpius, the giant scorpion. What's worse than a scorpion? A scorpion the size of a house cat. That's exactly what Pulmonoscorpius was. A 70-centimeter-long scorpion that lived about 340 million years ago. With massive pincers and a venomous stinger, it would have been a terrifying predator in its day. Scientists believe it used those pincers to grab prey before delivering the final sting. While we don't know exactly how toxic its venom was, its size alone suggests it could easily take down small vertebrates. And here's the chilling part. Giant scorpions like this may have been common, as normal in ancient forests as squirrels are today. Imagine walking through the woods and seeing one crawling by. Still, the scariest giants weren't always hunters. Some were simply tanks built for survival. 10. Glyptodon, the armored armadillo. Finally, we come to Glyptodon, a prehistoric armadillo that looked like a cross between a VW beetle and a tank. It measured 3 meters long, weighed over 2 tons, and was covered in a thick, bony shell. Even its tail was armored, ending in a spiked club it could swing to defend itself. Despite its war-ready design, Glyptodon was peaceful, spending its days grazing on grass and plants. It lived in the Americas until about 10,000 years ago, when the arrival of humans, combined with changing climates, drove it to extinction. From giant frogs and nightmare scorpions to colossal sloths and snake buses, Earth's past was filled with astonishing giants. And what makes it even more fascinating is that most of these creatures were related to animals we still see today, only far smaller and far less terrifying. So the next time you spot a tiny millipede, a dragonfly buzzing by, or even a lazy sloth hanging from a branch, remember this: they once had giant cousins that ruled the planet. And if that doesn't blow your mind, just wait until you hear about the dinosaurs. But that's a story for another day.